Hello, everyone. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, the lead plaintiff in a civil rights lawsuit against the university for failing to protect Jewish students. Clap if I win, I don't know yet. And an incoming student at MIT. During my senior year, can I do that? During my senior year at Penn, I testified before Congress twice on the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism at elite universities across this nation. And I deferred my job offer for a year to work with Congress and the White House to pass legislation to combat BDS, to investigate the 501c3 status of groups like Students for Justice in Palestine within our lifetime, all the groups that I know everyone up here loves so much. When I wrote this speech, I actually had a completely different opening, and I deleted it 3 days ago when my cousin called me and asked if he thinks that Jews will have a future in this nation. So let me begin with a different intro, and it starts with the founding of our nation. When the founders gathered in 1776, they drew heavily from the Hebrew Bible. Benjamin Franklin described America as a new nation, as a modern exodus fleeing from Great Britain. He viewed Moses similar to the Mayflower, leading people from bondage to freedom. Jefferson proposed the Great Seal, depicting the Israelites guided by a divine hand. In sermons and pamphlets across America, America was viewed as David, while the UK was viewed as Goliath. The Pilgrim's Voyage echoed the Israelites fleeing Egypt. The first prayer of the Continental Congress came from Psalms. The American Republic was quite literally born to the music of the Hebrew Bible. There's even a famous anecdote that some founders toyed with Hebrew as the new nation's language rather than English. So to my cousin, and to anyone else wondering, the answer is no. America was built and founded on Judeo-Christian ideals that protect human dignity, and we are not going anywhere. But lately, the tune of that psalm during the First Continental Congress has been drowned out. Anti-Semitism runs rampant across college campuses. On October 7th, Hamas launched the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. And ever since, Jewish students and Jews across this great nation have been under siege. At Penn, I expected an education. I got bomb threats instead at the Center for Jewish Life. I got swastikas inside dormitories. The Chabad house was vandalized, and a student bursting into Hillel shouted, "Fuck the Jews," while flipping over tables and chairs. Flags of designated terror groups, chants of Al-Qassam make us proud, posts saying "burn filthy Zio." Professors and students celebrated statements from Hamas and a university that remained utterly silent. Let me tell you where my path actually really began in combating anti-Semitism. On October 7th, I woke up late after a normal Friday night out in college like most college students. Halfway across the world, college-age students similarly were planning on spending a night out partying with their friends. While I awoke as though it was a normal Saturday, they awoke with a much different reality. Hostages thrown in trucks, mass murder, and live streaming the gore to brag about what they were doing. I sat in my room and cried. And at the same moment, a Penn professor posted, quote, "Beautiful sights to wake up to this morning." I felt useless, guilty, to be in an ivory tower while wanting to liberate the Nova Festival, Be'eri, Niroz, Kfar Aza, Sderot. If boys my age could put their lives on the line to defend the Jewish people, the very least I could do was dedicate my life to defending them here at home. Throughout history, anti-Semitism has worn different masks. Economic scapegoating, public health hysteria. Today it wears a new one, anti-Zionism. When I hear From the River to the Sea, I hear the modern version of Only for Germans in Nazi Germany. When 90% of American Jews identify as Zionists, Death to Zionists doesn't necessarily mean death to all Jews, just 90% of them that exist. Jewish students walking to class in fear, their classmates rioting around them, some professors targeting them, administrators equivocate, and we are told not to overreact. But Pirkei Avot teaches, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And if not now, when? Do not wait for a better time than right now, because that time may never come. After October 7th, my advocacy moved from campus quads to congressional halls. First, I attended a House leadership conference flanked by Elise Stefanik and House Speaker Mike Johnson. If you never stood in the Capitol, you should. It's a spectacle into where our nation makes its laws. I had 90 to 120 seconds to bring campus reality into that room and into the homes of every American. Calmly and factually, I stated, today it is Jewish students, tomorrow it is the rest of us. And that day I learned something very simple, that the voice of Jews in this nation is more powerful than we may think. Next, I went to the Judiciary Committee, which has been working diligently to pass laws to hold these campus organizations accountable, to actually prosecute the people who are burning down our cities in the name of, quote, Palestine. Whatever the rules are seems to always have a Jewish exception. If what was happening today were targeting Black, Muslim, LGBTQ, or Asian, this would not be happening. Campuses and administrators and our government would be doing everything in their power to stop it. But for some reason, there's consistently a Jewish exception. There's certain times where incentives decide outcomes, that the eligibility for certain funds to neutral enforcement of existing laws and time, place, and manner rules simply do not apply. Requiring transparent incident reporting and consistent discipline across the board is what's necessary. The ideological temperature in this country, about to drop everything. Between hearings, I know, it's the story of the Jewish people. After graduation, as I mentioned, I moved on to work on the Hill. I deferred my full-time offer and joined efforts to investigate organizations seeking tax-exempt status while platforming groups tied to extremism. That work is technical by design. Tax benefits are public resources. If you're clean, transparency protects you. If you're laundering legitimacy for hate, transparency exposes you. Sunlight isn't partisan, it's preventative. There's two truths that I will never hedge on. First, anti-Semitism comes from the right and the left, from tiki torches and tenured faculty, from fringe forums and fashionable seminars. But what about is not a moral defense? So, I'm going to put this back. Second, speech and safety are not enemies. America is strong enough to protect offensive speech while enforcing neutral conduct and rules. That's civilization. So the difference is that you can chant whatever you want. You can't chant whatever you want while taking over a building. As I mentioned back on campus, we had encampments chanting Al Qassam, make us proud, posts reading Zionists don't deserve to live, Jewish institutions vandalized, students were surrounded, docs shoved. That is not protest, that is hate, and it is illegal. And what I think people miss is that none of this started on October 7th. For decades, a segment of academia has framed Israel as the ultimate colonial villain and normalized double standards for Jews. Foreign money amplified it. If you capture the minds of the youth in this country, you capture the future. We have seen this movie time and time again. We know how it ends if no one intervenes and if we do not stand up. So we are intervening through litigation, legislation, and leadership. I became a lead plaintiff not because I love lawsuits, but because institutions respond to incentives. And if the university will not hold students and faculty accountable, then the court system will. And if you're a university that takes public funds, you owe public duties. If you publish codes of conduct, you must enforce them equally and across the board. October 7th was the darkest day in modern Jewish history. But it was also a source of light. Never before have the Jewish people been so united in one cause. Before that day, Israel was bitterly divided. After, it formed a unity government. As the Rebbe said during the Yom Kippur War, the attack was against the entire Jewish people. And because we will hold together as one, we will be protected by God and we will prevail. Unity is not kumbaya. It's a security policy. When we stand together, religious, secular, conservative, right and left, diaspora and Israeli, we change incentives for those who target us. In terms of unity, my main message is whether it's the mayoral race currently in New York City, or it's fragments of Jewish society bleeding out as they're scared to be openly Jewish, if they need how many armed security guards protecting a Jewish event. The essential point is to incentivize specifically young Jews to find it cool and fun to be Jewish, to see Israel as not as something lame that you have to defend, but something that they want to be part of and be part of the larger Jewish community. I've spoken across the world on anti-Semitism, and in every place I speak, it's always parents or the older generation of Jews asking how do we bring back the youth of Judaism and tie them back. If anyone has the opportunity to visit Israel, take their children. If anyone has the opportunity to speak to someone in New York City or any other race that is going to impact the lives of Jews, make sure to have those conversations. Bring them in, register people to vote. It's when Jews are not engaged in civil society is when we fail. Thank you.